Buddy, how you doing? Welcome to the 10K project. We are the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. So, if you want to buy Black, you can invest Black too. Every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we get together. It's kind of Shark Tank meets Powernomics, but you're able to invest in a Black business and invest in that business and get to participate in the success of that business when and if that business is successful. So I apologize for being a little late, but tonight I got some great stories for you. I'm going to try to do this every week. I'm calling the series What's the 411? Y'all know after Mary J. Blige, What's the 411? Really, it is kind of going to be a collection of news articles and things like that that I think would be helpful in your economic journey, in your business journey, in your investment journey, etc. So thanks so much for being here. Don't forget to put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you, know who you are. We've got some interesting stories tonight. And again, the10kproject.com if you want to check us out. So don't forget to put your city and state in the chat. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, all of that good stuff. So I'm going to hop right on in and get started. The first thing that I want to show you is Calendly. So Calendly was started by this gentleman here, and it just entered the Forbes Cloud 100 list. So this is a very prestigious list, and the founder of Calendly, is on it, or Calendly itself is on it. So it's a Black-owned scheduling platform. Calendly has been named one of the world's top private cloud companies on the Forbes Cloud 100 list. Calendly was started in 2013 by Tope Awatano. I'm sorry, I probably misspelled that or said that, but still very proud of him. It's a cloud scheduling company on a mission to revolutionize how the world schedules. The platform Topi built to solve a problem is now worth a staggering $3 billion, y'all. $3 billion. The idea for the company came from a frustrating experience he had scheduling a meeting. Many emails later, and they were still no closer to finding a time. So, what I wanted to talk about with this was sometimes your $1 billion ideas come from you trying to figure something out. There's no solution out there in the marketplace for you, and you start this company, and next thing you know, you grow it to $1 billion or 3 billion, as he has. So the app currently has 10 million people using it, 50,000 companies, including Lyft, US Foods, Asana, and Ancestry.com. Again, super congratulations to him and the work that is doing. He is part of, and his company, I should say, Calendly, is part of the Forbes Cloud 100 list. So congratulations to him. Okay, second story. This is a politics story. But politics and wealth often coincide with each other. So I wanted to show this as well. I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, but when I saw this a couple of weeks ago, I tagged it especially to come here and talk about it. The Republicans, after Roe v. Wade has been overturned, they are seeing themselves as on the heels of a success. The Republicans' next big play is to scare the hell out of Washington by rewriting the Constitution, and they're willing to play the long game to win. Everybody, again, like the video if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, thumbs up, please. And put your city and state in the chat so we can know where you're coming from. So the Republicans want to rewrite the Constitution. And one of the things that I say to anybody and everybody is never, ever underestimate. Never underestimate anybody and what they're able to do. I am not going to share my beliefs with regards to Roe v. Wade, but I never thought Roe v. Wade would be overturned. So if they're able to do that after a 50-year span of period and the Constitution is being rejigged and all of that, the nation is, where it is right now, what would stop me from thinking that the Constitution could not be rewritten? Nothing. So let's read a little bit of this article here. The conservative movement isn't done reshaping the Constitution from the ground up. Conservatives are now pushing an unprecedented convention to rewrite the U.S. bedrock text since 1788. So far, 19 GOP states have joined a rapidly growing conservative movement to call a new convention. Put a one in the chat if you think that this is something that could be done. Put a two in the chat if you're thinking never. Never. Put a one in the chat if you think that this is something they could pull off. Put a two in the chat if you're thinking it could never happen. Let's read a little bit more. A little bit further down, it discusses some of the things that they want to put into the new Constitution. I ain't see anything about Black people specifically, so, hey. But former Republican Senator Rick Santorum is one of the people who is a part of this delegation. They want this nation to become a conservative nation. Yeah, y'all are saying ones. Y'all are saying ones. You're like, look, anything could happen in this country. This may be something that your children and your grandchildren have to deal with. 34 states, if every Republican legislator votes for this, they would have a constitutional convention, y'all. 34 states, they're thinking they could have those in the bag. They already have 19 of these 34. And politics does affect our wealth. It affects our ability to build wealth. According to this, interviews with a dozen people involved in the Constitutional Convention movement, along with documents and audio recordings reviewed by Insider, reveal a sprawling, well-funded, at least partly by cryptocurrency, and impassioned campaign taking root across multiple states. Put a 3 in the chat if you had even heard of this. I had not heard of this until I read this article. Put a 4 in the chat if this is brand new to you. You had not heard of this. 3 in the chat if you had heard about it. 4 in the chat if you hadn't heard about it. So we have a couple of people here. Paraday saying 1, that they do think it could happen. Ice Cream Cake is saying 1, they think it could happen. Put a 3 in the chat if you had heard that they were trying to do this. A 4 in the chat if this is brand new news to you. Rob Nadelson, a constitutional scholar and senior fellow at the Independence Institute who closely studies Article 5 of the Constitution, predicted to Insider there's a 50% chance that the United States will witness a constitutional convention in the next 5 years. Whether it happens, he said, is highly dependent on the Republican success winning state legislatures during the 2022 midterms. But not everyone in the conservative constitutional convention movement believes such a gathering is so imminent. It will likely take years more work to reach its goal if they ever do. At minimum, Republicans will need to flip several Democratic controlled state legislatures and convince remaining GOP holdouts of the necessity for a convention. Michael Dyer here is saying 3. So Michael has heard about this before. It's brand new to me. 3 years ago when Obama was in office. Okay, I guess I wasn't paying attention to that piece of it. So y'all are better than me. So here's a map here. Which states have passed the Convention of States resolution to amend the Constitution? You have the ones in deep green where it's passed. The ones in light green have made progress. The ones in orange have failed. And the ones in gray, not recently attempted. So if you look at the map, it's pretty partisan here. So, what do they want in this new constitution? Um, if they were successful, a constitutional convention led by conservatives could trigger sweeping changes to the Constitution. Their goals include gutting federal environmental standards, which I will say would not be good for Black people, nixing nationwide education requirements, and creating an incredibly high threshold for Washington, D.C. or a territory to earn statehood. Some would like to make it difficult, if not impossible, for someone like Dr. Fauci to work for decades within the federal government. This is going to hurt Black people. The federal government is the number one employer of Black people in this country. They're dangling it with regards to Dr. Fauci not being able to work for decades within the federal government. But how many of us have family members and friends and know people who work for the federal government and have worked for them for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? Ice Cream Cake is saying it was French talk at the time. Look, they serious about it. Later on in this article, I didn't highlight it, but later on in this article, it says because of the win of Roe v. Wade, this is their next step. I don't know if it'll happen in 5 years, but it could definitely happen. This can end up hurting Black people. We saw what LA County just voted for on the state jobs. Oh, what did they vote for? I didn't hear about that. Let's keep going. Okay, I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. That was all that I had for this. This is something that we need to pay attention to. This, it sounds great on the surface. It sounds great on the surface, but at the end of the day, it could end up hurting federal employees who are Black. Um, the environmental thing, we already have environmental issues in our community. It could hurt us even more with regards to that. So we need to pay attention to this. Again, I'm not Republican or Democrat. I'm just saying that keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. Um, you're saying now in LA County, non-citizens can work state jobs. I'm not surprised. And you're saying, can you please pull up that article? I can't right now, but I'm hopefully going to be able to do this every week. So I'll pull it up for next week. Um, Even the DA can be a non. What? The district attorney can be a non-citizen? Oh, come on. Y'all had better skill up. We had better skill up as a people. Makes no sense. All right, let's move to some market news. Markets are entering a multi-year era of global interest rate hikes as central banks fight inflation, says the Societe Generale. Global markets are entering a multi-year rate hiking cycle, according to SocGen's Albert Edwards. The new Great Melt will be centered on an upward march in short and long-term interest rates. He said an upcoming recession will provide only temporary cyclical relief from rate hikes. So again, these global central banks will be in a long running cycle of raising interest rates, a long running cycle. So, if you think, oh, I'm going to wait for rates to go down in order to buy a house, in order to make a move, in order to start my business, according to this, that may not be the wisest move. Um, in essence, Bob Prince, and Bob Prince is the co-chief investment strategist at Bridgewater Associates. In essence, Bob Prince is saying that we are currently in only the first phase of a multi-year secular tightening cycle to address the after effects of combining monetary and fiscal policy in a reckless fashion. In particular, Bob notes that investors have mistakenly discounted only one quick tightening cycle, and so they are going to be mightily surprised. So when we talk about things like I bonds, which Camari Ellis came to talk to us about, when we talk about um, other uh, investments that are linked to interest rates, when we talk about paying down our debt, these are the things that are going to be very, very important for us. So, just something to think about. Okay, let's move on here to the Inflation Reduction Act. It was signed, I believe, yesterday into law. So let's talk about it, figure out what is happening here. Can y'all hear that? Put a one in the chat if you can hear the audio. I want to make sure the audio is coming through. All right, I'm going to assume that it is. We have to start over again. I will. Okay, you're saying you can't hear, no sound. Okay, give me a second. Let me try to figure out how to get the sound working on here. If not, I'm just going to have to do the article. Mm, okay, I might have to do the article then. Because I can't figure out how to get the sound to work on here. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay. No, the sound is not off. It's coming on for me. So, and I can't figure out, I usually do stuff in Zoom. So this is different. Okay, let's go then. Oops. I am hearing myself and hearing an echo. I don't know what I hit. All right, well, let's just go for underrated parts of the Inflation Reduction Act. So, first of all, the Inflation Reduction Act did happen. It was signed. And here it says that most of the focus has been on the new law's billions in clean energy tax credits and electric vehicles, a mix of which will go to consumers, utilities, and manufacturers. In terms of emissions cuts, boosting zero carbon energy from its current 20% of the grid will pack the biggest punch of the IRA's emissions reductions. Other investments in electrified transportation and industrial energy efficiency stand to pay off in the long term. But the law also covers a lot of ground, including some policies and programs that are fascinating in their own right, but are usually lumped together with the law's broad climate category. Here are four that should not be missed. So, you say no echo on your end. Okay, good. Um, all right. So, number one, 3 billion for highway removal and community cleanup. This is going to affect Black people. So They're saying here that one of the most damaging legacies of the intersection between racism and fossil fuels is how highways were built to cut through Latino and Black communities. The Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956 alone displaced more than 1 million people, according to the Department of Transportation. People who remained near these roads, overwhelmingly communities of color, were exposed to more fine particulate matter from the tailpipes of cars and trucks. In other words, if you live near a highway, you're getting a lot of exhaust from all of these cars traveling on the highway. That legacy is negatively affecting Black and Latino people. So the Inflation Reduction Act is here to help with some of that. It includes a federal infusion of cash for community projects aimed at addressing some of the harmful effects of these projects. There is $3 billion marked for neighborhood access and equity grants, in addition to $1 billion already approved under the bipartisan infrastructure law. So it's helping a little bit. I'm sure it's not enough money, but hey, there's something here. The second thing is direct payments to retire coal. This helps West Virginia and some of the uh, other Midwest states there. The third thing that is in there is a big influx to states to clean up climate emissions however they want. There's going to be about $5 billion in block grants. So some of you, if you're into clean energy and things like that, there's going to be money coming in there. And number four, tackling climate change the natural way through forest and soils. There's going to be money in there for that. A couple of other things that the Inflation Reduction Act is doing. Many of you have heard that the Inflation Reduction Act also includes money for the IRS. That is right. Ice Cream Cake is saying here in 1956, those were Black communities. Yep, they were. So, next thing, of course, we're talking about the IRS. So, we've heard a lot of reports with regard to the IRS. This is a couple of articles that I want to show you with regards to the money that's being pumped into the IRS. They're saying it's not just for tax enforcement, but if you are middle class, you're going to get hit with audits. And if you own a business, you're most likely going to get hit with audits. So it just became law and gives more money to the IRS tax enforcement. Here is how some small businesses can prepare. I just wanted to read a few things to you. It contains something else that could have a significant impact on small businesses. $80 billion in additional funding for the IRS. According to the Congressional Budget Office, that funding will yield an additional hundreds of billions of dollars of new tax revenue from enforcement. I was talking with someone a while ago and I said, with Cash App, with Venmo, with other ways that people are getting paid, with people getting paid under the books, the United States really wants you to account for every dollar that you are making. So this here doesn't surprise me that they are putting money in to the system in order to get taxpayer money out. And unfortunately, it's not going to affect the super rich people the way that they're claiming. It's going to affect the middle class. To step up enforcement, $46 billion, which is half of that budget, is going to be spent on hiring more agents. New enforcement should focus on larger corporations and high net worth individuals and not small businesses or households making less than $400,000. However, not everyone is convinced. According to Jack Hinchman, who is the executive vice president at National Taxpayers Union Foundation, he says that the IRS will have to target small and mid-sized businesses because they won't fight back. We've seen this play out before. The IRS says we're going after the rich, but when you are trying to raise that much money, the rich can only get you so far. So will the Inflation Reduction Act result in more audits for small businesses? According to a CPA, he believes that it will. That's because, regardless of Hinchman's concerns about the extent of these audits, many of his clients in the Philadelphia area are generally family owned businesses or business to business entities that oftentimes earns more than 400,000. Ladies and gentlemen, no matter what they're saying to you about where this money is, that the IRS is not coming after small businesses, the IRS is not coming after the middle class. They are not. They have a certain revenue goal that they're trying to hit, and I do believe this guy is right. Without going after middle class, without going after small businesses, they're not going to make that revenue goal. What's next? Debtors prisons for the poor and working class? I don't know. And yes, they are. Look, ice cream cake, you are correct. So, all right. This also from Wall Street Journal, the middle class won't escape the new IRS audit wave. And they're claiming here this is a person, Mr. Crapo. Mr. Crapo is some person. I don't know who he is. But anyway, he said something good here. Mr. Crapo then asked the CBO, that's the budget office, to calculate the effect his amendment would have had. The agency found that increased scrutiny on filers earning less than 400,000 would account for $20 billion over 10 years out of a total $204 billion that the Democrats hope to collect through a bigger, badder IRS. So basically, 10% of the budget they're looking to get, of the revenues they're looking to take in the United States, is going to come from these small and mid-sized businesses. I'm just telling you all, if you have a business, save your receipts, save your documents, be vigilant with that, because if you can't prove that you don't owe the money, that you didn't get the revenues in, that you invoiced the person but they never paid, you're going to have to cough up more money. The IRS is not playing with anybody. So then the question is, are they going to hire 87,000 auditors because this figure appears in all sorts of news articles? This person found out, this is from Vox.com, that the 87,000 figure appears to come from a report that the Treasury Department published in May 2021, which outlined the impact of tax compliance measures in the Biden administration's American Families Plan proposal. The report estimated that the IRS could hire 86,852 employees by 2031 with nearly $80 billion in additional funding. But this person, Sarin, is saying that the new funding would also be used to hire other types of employees, such as customer service representatives and IT specialists, not just auditors. So I'm here to say, if you go to USA Jobs, you put in Internal Revenue Service over the next year or so, you're going to see a lot of different jobs. If you are looking to be hired, usajobs.com, go there, get you an IRS job, figure out how to work the system from the inside, and then come out, hang your shingle, and make tons of money helping middle class people get out of tax issues. So, the IRS job ad said agent must be prepared to use deadly force. Yep, they did. Did they change the description? Nope. No, the one that I saw said the same thing. So, but they're hiring different types of people. It's not just the agents that are prepared to use deadly force. There are IT administrators, there are other types of people, customer service representatives. There are all sorts of IRS jobs that are here and that are coming. So you've got a deputy of chief appeals, you've got supervisory internal revenue agents, um, all sorts of people here, all sorts of salaries, etc. So I want to tell you, get you a good IRS job. So, all right. Two final things I want to talk about. These are fun stories, but they could help your portfolio as well. Potentially, this is not financial advice. This is just, take a look at these potentially. Junk food stocks are soaring. They are soaring. This is the head of Pepsi here, Pepsi CEO. What is happening? People are stress eating, y'all. We are stress eating. We are stress eating this junk food. And because of that, we're buying soft drinks, we're buying candy, we're buying, all sorts of stuff that's not good for us. And these companies are making record profits. Now, anytime we are stress eating and we're buying a lot of this, people are probably also going into Weight Watchers and these other diet programs as well. So, get your money where you can. If you are a fitness trainer and all of that, get your money where you can. But it might help explain why investors are amped for candy, cola, and chips. Hershey's stock is up 19% this year. Coke is up nearly 10%. Pepsi is up 4%, even though the overall market is down about 10%. Inflation has taken a bite out of retail sales, but people are biting back and sipping too. Earlier this month, Celsius announced that Pepsi would make a $550 million investment in the energy drink maker and become its preferred distribution partner. The appetite for energy drinks is growing, it's profitable, and large soft drink companies want to be in on it. One of the ways they're doing it is through partnerships like this. So, look, y'all, we eating. We are eating, and the stocks are going up because of it. So I'm pretty sure the next story will be that the weight management stocks are going up as well. People need more energy, they're not sleeping, things like that. So there's always a lot of money that's going into these things. I also believe as things tighten up, you can, spend $3 to $5 on a bag of potato chips or something like that. It's just a lower threshold. So, Mountain Dew has many energy drinks. Yeah, look, I'm not telling you how to invest. Definitely not telling you how to invest. But if these companies are starting to put money into these things, they are definitely seeing a trend. So just pay attention. Pay attention. My last story, I don't really like celebrity news, but I thought this was interesting when I saw just the headline of this article. I said, trash bags. Why is Kanye selling clothes from trash? What are you talking about here? So then I read a little bit further, and I also see the bags as well. So the article is here. I joined Kanye West fans to dig through those viral trash bags full of new Gap line. Employees didn't let us get very far. So these are the trash bags. They're hideous. Hey, whatever. Um, and Gap is a publicly traded company. So um, what they're saying here is Kanye West, now known as Ye, I guess Ye, Ye, whatever, recently caused a stir when fans noticed his Yeezy X Gap clothing collection being sold in giant totes that look a lot like trash bags. The rapper got mad when he saw his apparel on hangers, inspiring the new trash style displays. The presentation also mirrors Ye's dumpster style pop up shops he hosted in July, where shoppers dumpster dive for clothes they wanted to buy. Now, y'all, when we were kids, we did not want to dumpster dive. When we were kids, the dumpster diving, the going to Goodwill for clothes and things like that, like that was seen as, you were bottom. You can't afford this, you can't afford that. You lived in the projects, things like that. Now these rich people are taking, oh my gosh, they are taking, are those three trash bags? Yes. I mean, they're I'm sure they cost a pretty penny to look poor. I don't get it. It's not for me, but I'm not his target audience either. I think it's very interesting how things come full circle. How what was considered poverty 30 years ago, I think Kanye's 34, maybe 40 now. I don't know how old he is, but I would guess 40. Now it's considered hip. So, yeah, look, I thought that story was very curious. So, that is the end of What's the 411 for the week. Just, I'm going to try again to come every week, bring y'all some news stories that can help your pockets, that can help your minds, make you laugh, make you think, things like that. If you want to join the 10K Project, the10kproject.com, come to our website, check us out, come to our Monday sessions, and also Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we have our Bet on Black pitches. So that is it. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here tonight. Don't forget on your way out, if you're on YouTube, to give us a thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe.